7 women, a dark witch with a secret, and a hunt that will change everything. The forest knew they were coming. Leah felt it the moment she slipped beneath the canopy. The silent snapping shot too fast, too clean, as if the night itself had decided to hold its breath. Cicadas cut off mid-song. Even the moonlight seemed reluctant to follow, breaking unevenly through the leaves in pale, fractured strips. They had hunted worse things in the Kagubatan than an old immortal witch, but that did not comfort Leah. They were not welcome here. 6 shadows moved with her, silent, disciplined, deadly. The air smelled of damp earth and rot, undercut by something coppery. Anticipation, Leah thought, or fear. This was where villagers didn't dare to walk, where children went missing, and elders pretended not to know why. Somewhere deeper within, something skittered, and then went quiet again.
Tell me again why we're walking into this cursed forest that smells like the dead and bad decisions just to see an old hag?
Luningning muttered from behind. Leah didn't turn around.
Because she knows where the Bakunawa is.
3 nights. They had 3 nights before the full moon and the halad. 3 nights to fulfill their mission.
Just saying, if this bruja turns out to be another Wild River rumor, I'm feeding your informant to the Bakunawa. That is, if we ever capture that bleeding dragon in this lifetime.
Amaya murmured. Leah didn't slow. Her bare feet made no sound against the loam.
Don't lose hope. Magandara doesn't lie.
Magandara hoards. There's a difference.
A faint smile tugged at Leah's mouth. Magindara, a siren who frequented the southeast river bends, loved gems, shells, and anything that caught moonlight. She traded secrets the way others traded food. And in all the years Leah had known her, Magindara had never once fed her false information. Overtaking them, Hannah whispered,
If this bruja doesn't have what we need, I swear to the moon I'm setting something on fire.
The others glanced at her.
What?
Hannah blinked innocently.
I'm just saying, like Maya.
You say that every hunt.
Yumi murmured.
You have the patience of a rabid civet.
It's called passion.
Luningning snorted softly.
You called it passion the last time you nearly burned down our kitchen. That pot deserved it.
Soft laughter rippled through the line, quickly swallowed by the forest. Leah let them banter. Hearing them steadied her the way prayer once had. These women, her sisters, were the reason her breathing stayed even, the reason the pulse in her throat did not betray her unease. 7 orphans, sisters by heart. Chosen and raised by Inang Tala, high babaylan of Tribo Mayari, and trained to hunt immortals since childhood. They wore the same attire they always did when blood was expected. Dark woven wraps reinforced with leather, light enough to move, strong enough to turn claws. Lunar sigils were stitched into hems and collars, invisible unless moonlight struck them just right. Each wore an anting-anting at the throat, warm now and humming softly. Ahead, the balete tree loomed. It rose like a cathedral of bone and bark, its roots arching above the soil, thick and knotted, veined with age and old blood. The air grew heavier here, magic clinging like damp cloth. Fireflies hovered low, pulsing faintly, uncertain whether to flee or bear witness.
This is it.
Elena whispered, kneeling to touch the soil.
She's close.
Yumi flexed her grip on her shield.
Good. We're running out of time.
3 days, 3 nights. Inang Tala wanted a Bakunawa scale laid before the altar at the halad, a keystone, God-marked and dangerous, without which puksa, the weapon meant to kill a Bakunawa, could not be forged.
How close?
Sora asked.
Close enough to hear us if we're stupid.
Hannah grinned.
Good thing we're charming.
Focus. Let's follow the fireflies.
Leah said. They obeyed at once. She felt it then, old magic, heavy and sour, pressing against her senses. Some immortals hid behind beauty or blessing. This one did not. Bruja was the word whispered for immortal witches who had crossed too many lines. Leah raised her fist. They halted.
Duende.
Elena murmured, feeling the earth again.
More than a dozen. Guarding her. Ugh, why is it always duende?
Luningning groaned.
They're loyal.
Hannah said.
And they bite.
Leah's fingers closed around her yantok, matched fighting sticks carved from dark wood and etched with faint lunar runes. Blessed beneath a full moon, bound to the same quiet force as their anting-anting. She stepped forward, lifting her voice.
Come out. We're not here to burn the forest or spill unnecessary blood.
The ground shifted. Duendes poured from the shadows, crawling from roots and stone. Small beings with skin like coal, mouths stretched wide in grins that promised pain. One cocked its head, studying Leah with unsettling intelligence.
This land is protected. Leave.
We come in peace.
Leah said, her stick held low.
We only want to speak to the Bruja.
The duendes charged.
So much for diplomacy.
Amaya muttered, then leapt. The clearing erupted. Leah moved without thinking, her body answering years of training. She ducked under a snapping jaw and drove her yantok into a duende's throat. Bone cracked. Magic unraveled, and the creature fell hard and dissolved into black dust before it hit the ground. Around her, the daughters fought like a storm breaking apart.
Moon, take them.
Amaya said cheerfully as she vaulted off a root, landing squarely on a duende's shoulders and snapping its neck with a twist. To her left, Yumi spun twin blades in smooth arcs, laughing breathlessly as she danced away from grasping hands.
You're slow.
She called, slashing low.
Ning, your braid's coming loose.
Hannah called out as she cocked and released arrows from behind them, each shaft glowing faintly as it struck true.
During a fight? How rude.
Luningning laughed, spinning her spear and skewering 2 duendes at once. Sora slammed her shield into the ground, sending a ripple through the earth. 3 duendes stumbled, howling as the ground turned against them.
After this, I want rice cakes, the honeyed kind. Seriously? Dreaming of food in the middle of combat?
Elena paused, one knee pressed into a duende's back.
You're unbelievable. Deadly and hungry.
Sora nodded solemnly.
A tragedy.
Elena just shook her head, then continued humming an old lullaby as she crushed a spine. The daughters were terrifying. Still, the duendes kept coming.
They're stalling us.
Leah snapped, catching a duende mid-air as it leapt for her throat, claws flashing. She pivoted and slammed it into a root hard enough to crack bone. A scream rose from the balete. The roots parted. The bruja emerged. She was tall, draped in tattered white like burial shrouds. Ancient symbols were carved into her skin, glowing faintly. Her eyes burned gold.
Daughters of the moon, you finally come to visit.
Leah advanced, her anting-anting growing warmer against her skin.
Where is the Bakunawa hiding? Straight to business. No greetings, no respect for elders.
Another duende lunged. Leah decapitated it without looking.
I don't respect immortals who hide behind children of the earth.
The bruja's eyes flicked to the fallen duende, something like irritation flashing across her face.
They offered themselves. They were coerced.
Leah corrected angrily.
Where's the Bakunawa?
The bruja studied her.
Are you never tired of hunting us, child?
The question struck deeper than Leah expected. Tired. She had been killing dark immortals since she was 7.
Yes,
Leah said before she could stop herself.
but that doesn't matter. Not until the Bakunawa is dead. You think killing the Bakunawa would save the world, free you?
The bruja clucked her tongue.
The dragon is not your enemy. You're wasting time.
Leah reached for Tagam, the blade singing as it cleared its sheath.
Talk.
The bruja's eyes widened in recognition.
That blade, Tagam, it can kill immortals. You hunt the wrong monsters. Where is the dragon's lair?
The bruja began to glow, then screamed. Leah struck. Tagam pierced the bruja's heart. She did not bleed. She unraveled. Gold dust poured from her body, thick, luminous, sacred. The fighting stopped. The forest went utterly still. God touched. As the bruja came apart, she whispered,
Do you know who you are, Leah?
Leah hesitated. The bruja knew her name.
What do you know about me?
I knew your mother.
The world narrowed.
You were never meant to be just a killer. You were meant for something greater.
Leah's grip tightened. She did not let herself ask.
A mountain by the sea.
The bruja finally said,
Cliffside, where the moon hangs close enough to touch. Find the Bakunawa and meet your destiny.
With her last breath, the gold dust scattered into roots and soil, vanishing as if the bruja had never existed. Silence fell. The duendes fled. Behind her, the daughters regrouped, blooded, breathing hard, alive. Not for the first time, Leah wondered what it would be like if the killing ever ended. When the Bakunawa was dead. When there were no more monsters left to hunt. Leah looked up at the moon. It watched her, unblinking. It did not answer.